Hello everyone, I'm Sofi and welcoming you to my studio. Today I'm going to demonstrate the puff sleeve for you. Here we're looking at different variations of puff sleeves. For instance, this number one is puffed up at the bottom. On the second one, the puff is at the cap. And on the third one, the puff is on both places. So as you can see, the common thing between these three sleeves is the puff. And your choice is going to be where do you want the puff to be. Let's say if I want to make this one for you today, where the puff is at the bottom, I have to make sure to understand that for this type of style, I need a sleeve band to finish this sleeve. For the other sleeve, where the puff is at the cap, we need facing inside of it. And for the third one, where the cap is on both places, there is a band also. Today I'm going to demonstrate the number one sleeve for you in hopes that after you do this one, you should be able to do any other ones if you want. Well, in this pattern image of the sleeve, you can see that the short sleeve is slashed or opened at the bottom. If that's what we want, we open the bottom with the sleeve band. Or if we want to open the cap, we're going to slash the same way, but open at the cap. And the third one will be opened and stretched up on its width. As I said, we're going to be working on this variation of the sleeve, meaning the puff is at the bottom. First of all, to develop any sleeve, we need to start from the foundation. That should be copied on a piece of paper. But to start with, on the paper, I'm going to draft a vertical line and a horizontal line. Then take the foundation and match up the grain line to the vertical line and the horizontal line to the bicep line. Then you're going to copy only the back side of the sleeve. If you wanted to, you could even not waste this much paper on the right side of the sleeve because you were going to copy only the back. The reason I did it so you can see it completely. Now, after I copy the back side, now I decide how long my sleeve should be.
5, 4, 3, 2.
The reason I'm doing only back of the sleeve is because after I develop my desired style, I'm going to fold it and get the front from here. That's why we're working on the back side of the sleeve here. On the underseam, first of all, let's decide how long the sleeve is going to be. And it's up to me what I want to do. Let's say from the bicep down, it measures 1.5 inches, where I make a straight line connecting that point to the grain line. Here this is. Now, all I need is this upper part of the sleeve, okay? So now I have to decide the slash lines. The first slash line should start from right above the notches, and the remaining measurement from the first slash line to the grain line is divided by 2, and I'm going to make another slash line. So these two lines are my slash lines. After getting my slash lines into place, I can cut my sleeve.
Five, 4, 3.
Now, depending from where I want the puff to be, I slash from that particular side. As I said, I want my puff to be at the bottom. So that's why I am going to be slashing from the bottom of the sleeve towards the cap and trying not to cut through. And one more cut. Okay, so here's my sleeve ready to go. I need to secure that sleeve on another piece of paper, bigger piece of paper, and where I draft my vertical line as my grain line of the sleeve, and then I'm going to place my sleeve cap touching the grain line and pushing the first slash 1 inch away from the grain line, meaning that is going to decide how much my sleeve puff is going to be. If I open up this one for an inch, this is 1 inch, then the second one will open 2 inches, and another 2 inches. Let's say if I didn't want this much opening, I could go 3/4 of an inch, inch and a half, it's up to you. Now, since I opened up 1 inch to start with, then I'm going to secure my first strip on the place, and now let's measure the second opening, which is another 1/2 inch. So when you decide that, please make sure that the cap is nice and flat, and let's secure the second piece in the place, and then let's open the third one, another 2 inches, and again make sure that this connecting point is relaxing on the background. Okay. So now, after I do my slashing and opening, as you noticed, my cap line got broken. I'm going to fix it, and the bottom is completely broken. But before I start fixing the breakages, I need to add some extra measurement at the opening in here that fans out, because besides making my sleeve wider, I want to make my sleeve a little bit longer, so I create that puff, the balloon at the bottom of the sleeve. Therefore, I'm going to measure, say about 2 inches down from the cut, or 1.5 inches, it depends how much puff you want, because if I don't add this extra amount to my sleeve's bottom and make it like bigger and fuller, this sleeve is going to be simply wide and it's going to be stuck to your arm. So that's why we add extra additional measurement, so it will push the sleeve away from the arm. So here I'm going to make a straight line. First of all, this is a 90-degree corner, and from here I'm going to bring this curve and connect it to my sleeve's underseam. Now, first of all, I would like to make that line with a freehand curve like this. See if I like it, the curve. Let's say I'm kind of dropping a little bit too much. I fix it. I like this line better. So let's follow that line. Then starting from the straight line, 90-degree line, I adjust my French curve to the line that I drafted, the broken line, dot line. And then by adjusting my ruler, because there's no specific way of placing my ruler, I can move it any way I want to, but my main focus is that not to let my line to go dropping down that curve. So then when it comes back, I will connect it to my other part of the line with the going in curve. So I started going out and then going in and connecting that line to here. At the cap, as you can see, I have a breakage here. So what I would do is, with my French curve again, I'm going to make this curve into a smooth one instead of like scallops. That scallop was very slight, but it will be visible on your sleeve if you don't fix it. And here, where I got kind of like a knot shape break in here, I'm going to place my French curve in this direction, and I'm going to smooth out like this. Now my sleeve is ready and it's ready to go. All I have to do, add my seam allowances. And the seam allowances are going to be 1/2 inch from everywhere. At the cap, usually we have 1/2 inch seam allowance, and at the underseam, please pay attention what am I doing in here. When I come to the seam, I shift my ruler to almost 90 degrees like that. Instead of going like this, I'm going to shift up like this, and 1/2 inch seam allowance at the underseam, and 1/2 inch seam allowance will be at the bottom of my sleeve following my curve. Now I am going to smooth my lines. Let's cut the sleeve folded. And because of that, I fold my paper, staple it. Let's open the sleeve. Place it flat. Okay, so here you can see how the curve went gradually up, and then I have my green line right at the middle. My cap is 90 degrees, it's straight. That's another thing that I have to be careful about. Now, as you realize, both of the sleeve sides are my back, but I want the right side to become my front. In order for me to do that, let's say about 3 inches up from this point, 3 inches up from the point, we go 1/4 inch in. So this is 3 inches, about 3 inches, because it can move a little bit up or down, and then 1/4 inch in, and then I'm going to cutting this much off of the front, so this will become my front. Everything else, front and back of the sleeve, are the same, just at this point they are not. Okay, so again I'm going to fix up my curve, and I'm going to cut first inwards curve and fix this broken side part too, and shave it off a little bit up. So right now I have my front sleeve that much less than my back. So my sleeve is done and finished. Now I need to draft the sleeve band. So I'm going to use the remaining of my paper here, since I want to save some. Here, this bottom part of the sleeve can be used as my sleeve band. My sleeve band, let's say, measures 10.5, and I draft a rectangular piece which is 2 inches wide, which means let's say if my puff sleeve that has a puff at the bottom has a band, this band, let's say the designer decided to do 1 inch high, okay? If this should be 1 inch high, that means my band should be 2 inches wide because it is going to be folded. So after I draft it 10.5 and then 2 inches high, that rectangular piece is ready already to go. So I'm adding my seam allowances 1/2 inch all around, and cutting off of the paper. Now we're going to be marking so it will make sense to you also, and it will make sense to the production people, sewers, and everybody else. Now, first of all, the cap notch is copied from the sleeve cap, and the reason I didn't get it is because I was copying only the back side of the sleeve. So if I placed it up here, that will be the notch, which is 1/4 inch tilted towards the front. So I mark that notch. Then these are my back notches, and my front notch, let's say if I missed marking, I will be placing that 1/2 inch away from it. It's right there, 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here, because I have a seam allowance on my pattern, but I don't have seam allowances on my foundation. But it is 3 inches up, so that will be my front notch. These notches are going to be helping me when I'm stitching this to the armhole. And then I am going to place my 1/2 inch notch going down, and then 1/2 inch notch going down here. And then also when I'm stitching these two pieces to each other, they should have 1/2 inch notches showing how they're stitched to each other. Remember, the notch has a message for you, says connect me with me, meaning these are similar notches, because if this notch is alone, it doesn't do anything on its own. It has to have a pair, a couple. Okay, so then also I need a center notch where my band is connected correctly, centered with my sleeve. So this is my center of the sleeve bottom, and if I fold my band like this, I will know that that notch is going to be matching with this, because this is a huge sleeve. It is going to be gathered and connected to the band, so I should know exactly where they're going to be connected on this long line. Also, one more thing, I don't want this part of the sleeve to be gathered. I want the gather to be accumulated towards the center of the sleeve. That's why I am going to go, say, about 2 inches, and I'm going to put a gather control notch here, which is going to be also placed on the opposite side. So I know that when I stitch this band to the sleeve, for this distance, there's no gather. It's flat because it's under the arm. And then the gather connects with the center, and then goes to the opposite side, where we again, on 2 inch line or 2 inch point, we're going to have a notch. So pretty much I'm done with everything, and I'm going to label. So this is my puff sleeve. Size 8 and cut 2. Now let's talk about my band. The band could be placed on different grain lines of the fabric, but let's say we place it like this. This is a better way of placing, because the fabric doesn't stretch on the grain line, and we don't want this band to be stretched on this direction. We could put it like that, but because we fuse it, that's why we can change the direction depending from our needs or the fabric design. So then I am going to place it right here, and I'm going to label it puff sleeve, band, size 8, and cut 2. This piece definitely is fused. Okay, so now I would like to bring it together, kind of pin it together or tape it together, so you can see the whole look of the sleeve. You don't have to do this because you will be distorting your sleeve. I'm just trying to help you here. So this is going to be, first of all, this side is going to be sewn to the sleeve. Let's say, imagine I'm sewing my sleeve, okay? So then this part of the sleeve is going to be gathered until the other notch. Again, please don't do with your pattern. Okay, so the middle notch is right here. So this whole fabric is going to be gathered all the way to this section where I am going to connect two center notches to each other. I'm right here. Now that all this gather is going to be connected to this part of the sleeve. Again, you see the notch goes with the notch here. The gather control notch goes with the gather control notch because we don't want this part to get any gather here. Okay, so the notch is matching with the notch. And let's say we base stitch this gather part and we pull the seams and nicely distributing the available gather between those two notches and sewing them to each other. Okay, let's see what we came up with. Actually, me distorting my pattern like this also has another point. I'm going to show you how these things are stitched to each other. What are the steps? You see, then we're going to connect the bottom part of the sleeve like this. You see my notches are following me. Okay, so I'm going to stitch 1/2 inch seam allowance right here and going all the way down to the bottom of the band, and then you fold the 1/2 inch seam allowance and stitch this inwards, and where you can actually conceal all the sticking out seam allowances so your sleeve comes out nice and clean. Okay, this is how your sleeve is going to look. Of course, it's a stiff paper. When it was fabric, it will be much better looking. But the reason I butchered my pattern is because I wanted you to be able to see how the two-dimensional pattern became a three-dimensional detail. So this is what you're going to make if you want to make this kind of puff sleeve. And have fun with this sleeve. I'm Sofi Kaçmanyan, and see you next time. Thank you for watching my video. Bye.